Government is not reason. Government is not eloquence. Government is force. And like fire, it's a dangerous servant and a fearful master. Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Daniel Hapney, and this is The Real Story. Boy, we got some great news for you. Not just great news like victories, great news and stuff, but we also have news that the media doesn't want to tell you. We're going to go over ClimateGate tonight, and we're also going to go over some more 9/11 Zen for you people out there that think that, gee, it just couldn't be. Okay, so we'll start off with this week's news, or some news, and hopefully you got to find some of it, and if not, find out if I'm lying, like your media. So here's how we go. The first one, we'll start off right with some ClimateGate stuff, and we're going to have a lot of ClimateGate on this show, and that's good for you, because you should know the truth. To be forewarned is to be forearmed. Anyway, UN to probe ClimateGate emails. All the guilty parties are rushing to investigate themselves, to upstage any real independent investigation. This is like Göring and Himmler investigating Hitler. And why I think that's important is, at the East Anglia University, where the CRU is, the Climate Research Unit, okay? These are the people that did the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Why all this is important is it turns out we've been lied to. Boy, there is climate change, but there's no man-made climate change. It's funny that they downloaded, okay, or someone on the inside actually leaked. They first said it was hacked. Now they leaked more than 1,000 emails of correspondence over 10 years. And what did we find out? We found out that they were hiding the decline in temperatures, and that they were tricking and fooling people. And then we found out that they were writing emails back and forth how to collude to keep other scientists from being peer-reviewed, anyone who opposed the global warming, scenario. They also worked at getting people fired. Rather interesting, huh? They even, in their computer programs, if any of you are programmers, find out if I lie, there were REM statements, remarks that you put in the program, you embed them in there so you know that, oh, this is the subroutine that adds up these two figures, okay? This is the subroutine that does this, okay? So anyway, in the remarks section, they showed this is how we got rid of the, the lowering temperatures and the rising temperatures. And so anyway, this comes out, and it's now known as ClimateGate, and you should become aware. So that's your homework. We'll start off with some homework right away, ClimateGate. But here's Tim Bell, okay, to tell you a little bit about what happened and what went down.
Overall, it's the orchestration. Each one of the things in and of itself is really objectionable, as I said. But putting it all together, where they're literally controlling the climate science and anybody that dares to question to what they're saying. And so those are the things that really bother me. And just to give you a quick comment on this, Professor Deming, here's a comment that he wrote back in to his experience. He said, with the publication of my article in Science in 1995, I gained significant credibility in the community of scientists working on climate change. They thought I was one of them, someone who would pervert science in the service of social and political causes. So one of them let his guard down. A major person working in the area of climate change and global warming sent me an astonishing email that said, we must get rid of the medieval warm period. Now, when Deming came out with that at the time, there was quite a furor about it. But now, in the light of these exposures, we see that Deming was absolutely right in what he was claiming. And, of course, the person that sent him that email was Jonathan Overpeck. And Overpeck's emails are all over those files. And, of course, what they're talking about is the problem they had, James, that they kept saying, oh, no, the 20th century and the latter part of it is the warmest ever. And, of course, skeptics like myself and Richard Lindzen and Patrick Michaels were saying, no, hang on a minute. It was warmer 1,000 years ago when the Vikings were in Iceland and Greenland. And of course, that's why they decided that they'd have to get rid of the medieval warm period. And they achieved that with the hockey stick. In other words, that they completely rewrote the history. And you can see how they've done this, not only with that particular record, but with the historic records as well, the actual temperature records. The Hansen and the group, where they've been reducing the older temperatures, making it colder than it was, which then enhances the warming in the recent times. So the manipulation of records on this level is you have to think it's got to be criminal somewhere.
So that's a real climate scientist talking about what? How a fraud was perpetrated. Now this fraud is huge. This whole ClimateGate fraud is really large because, think about it, even here in Massachusetts, we're now going to have biofuel. I move my fingers like this because it's one of those, we've been scammed. The biofuel thing where people with home heating oil, 10% of it will be biofuel. Okay? And also in western Massachusetts, they're going to cut down trees and also burn scrap, okay? But it's going to be biofuel plants. Now this takes the resources, okay, of the government and give credits and tax credits, okay, and permits to companies to what? To build incinerators so that they can generate electricity. Now that all sounds really interesting and good, doesn't it? But I thought we were hurting on capital. I thought the state was in need of money, but we can slide that money over, okay? Now, why all this is important is to take arable land that we can grow crops and food on, and say, okay, we're going to what? Make ethanol and methanol, which is just basically alcohol for your gas tanks, okay? That we're going to what? That we're going to make biofuel so that we can what? Burn it, as in the form of oil, instead of feeding people when we have oil available to us. And why this is important is because you'll find that the date has been manipulated. They took the warm period in the Middle Ages and they got rid of it. Well, it didn't work out good for the hockey stick, right? And also, now, if you think I'm kidding about global warming, okay, for the past 10 years or whatever, the temperature's been going down. But they modified the data, and they even wrote letters to each other, hey, this is how we can lie, and this is what we can do. And, oh, that guy's going against us, let's get his tenure removed. Get that professor out of that other college. Get him fired. Well, it's important because if you think I'm kidding, find out, did it snow in Jerusalem? How often does it snow in Jerusalem? Okay? How about Baghdad? Boy, that's a freak thing. Saudi Arabia. These were, we've had actually declining temperatures. And so in the emails, this is how we can hide the decline. This is what they're going over. Why this is important. This was brought to us, this global warming, okay, like a new religion. It was even brought in the Sharon school systems. My child had to watch The Inconvenient Truth, okay? And the worst part is, it turns out to be a lie. I really hold you school system people accountable for that lame excuse, okay? When you only show one side of a story, and especially when I knew it was a lie, and now it comes out later that it was a lie, that we have Al Gore creating a climate credit exchange with who? Ken Lay. Yes, I remember Enron, okay? And Bernie Madoff. Who's Bernie Madoff? A scandal for you philanthropy type people? How about, and Goldman Sachs? Could all this be so? Is there a climate credit exchange running in Chicago now, started by Al Gore, Bernie Madoff, Goldman Sachs, okay? And who told them how to do it? Ken Lay. Yes, folks, this is the truth, and it may be hard to believe, but it's just the way it is. What's more important is, how come we can't see this global government approaching to where, how are they going to fund the global government? We'll go into that. Matter of fact, I'll go into it right now. We should read the New York Times op-ed piece by Ban Ki-moon, the Secretary General of the UN. What does he say? Here's a picture of it. You can follow along with me, but the parts I like is the U.S. leadership is crucial. That is why I'm encouraged by the spirit of compromise shown by bipartisan initiative announced last week by John Kerry, and Lindsey Graham. Here was a pair of U.S. senators, one Republican, one Democrat, coming together to bridge their differences. So what did you see there? You saw that, Ban Ki-moon says, it's good that Republicans and Democrats are working together for this global warming thing. Well, why is it that our representatives are globalists and not American, number one? Okay, that's got to make you start thinking, but let's go on and read, why these guys are globalists. Remember, there's a red party and a blue party, because if they keep you separated, if they keep you divided, you're easier to conquer. The Romans taught us that, didn't they? This whole tribal thing, folks. This goes on in his op-ed thing. A deal must include an equitable global governance structure. So, what this whole thing, this, we're going to, Copenhagen, where that globalist by the name of Obama is going to sign what? A deal must include an equitable global governance structure. Global governance, that's what it's about. And this is the global tax that'll fund it. The best answer to these questions, was given last week by Senators Kerry and Graham. Yes, we can. So now it's nothing different. But once again, that's an op-ed in the New York Times.